we're going to do an epoxy top coat on a piece of knotty alder. This is MAS brand epoxies. It's a two-part epoxy. It's a low VOC, so it doesn't smell bad, and it's zero blushing. So unless it's 100% humidity, it's not going to condense moisture onto the surface. So you can do one layer upon the other if you want, without having to sand or anything. We're just going to do one layer. We're just trying to show that there's just some other alternatives out there, like epoxy, if you want to seal up your wood and protect your whatever it is you're building. Now this stuff does not have any UV protectant, so it will require some sort of varnish on it if you're going to have it outside. But it does the job of varnish as far as it looks like it anyway, but it does a lot quicker. It's a lot thicker than the initial coat, and it'll be a lot harder, probably more durable than any other finish you can put on it. So what we do is we mix it up, hardener and resin, and then we just kind of pour it on there. You see there's a lot of little bubbles in there. We're hoping those are all going to settle out on their own. And you spread it around. Again, I always try to get the edges first so that I don't end up overflowing the edge trying to get it out to the edge. Well, that's just what I do. I don't have a clue if that's right or not. And that's really kind of a crude way to put it on. But as you can see, it's pretty blotchy and pretty wavy. But what we're going to do next is what they call tip it out. And I guess that refers to using the tip of the brush to kind of normalize everything. And you don't want to do this too much, because as the epoxy starts to set up, it's going to hold whatever form, or it's going to become more resistant to leveling on its own. And you can see just after tipping it out, it has gotten quite a bit flatter. And hopefully as it settles, it'll do even more of that. We'll come back. It should take probably about, in this heat, probably about 3 hours to dry. Not dry enough to sand, but dry enough to touch. And then we'll come back and take a look at it, see how it looks. Okay, that's after one coat of the epoxy. You can see that it soaked through the knot, actually glued itself to a board, and didn't really cover very evenly, not at all. In fact, at some places it's so far impregnated into the wood that it doesn't even have a gloss to it. So we're going to try a second coat, see if that helps. Here's the epoxy. After the second coat, it's been applied just with a popsicle stick to get it all over there, spread out, and then tipped out with a foam brush. That's what the second coat looks like initially. We'll see if it flattens out any. Here's the second coat of the epoxy finish. You can see it really looks deep, but it does not flatten out all that well. So we're going to take some 100 grit or 150 grit to it and clean up this top surface, and we'll see what we get. And you can see this stuff is not like varnish. It's taking 100 grit sandpaper and it's barely scuffing it. So this stuff's a whole lot harder than varnish, which is good as far as protection is concerned. It's a little tougher to work with on the backside, but it looks like it's cleaning up okay. And flat surfaces, of course, are easy. If you get into some curved surfaces, you might be careful around the edges so that you don't burn through the epoxy, just because it is a little bit more of a hassle to put down another coat. It's actually flattening up pretty nicely. Yeah, still got a couple of shiny spots, but we'll keep working it. We don't necessarily have to make it flat, but we do want to try to sand everything. So we'll take the block off here in a minute, just use our hands. Or if you've got a foam block will help too. Alright, so that's what we got with 100 grit. Nice dull finish. Well, now we'll take it to the 320. And this stuff, you don't want to breathe these vapors, or these dust particles. They're pretty nasty. Make you feel like you got a pretty bad cold. So if you're going to do any sanding, go ahead and wear a respirator, or find some other way to ventilate or collect the dust, or both. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere. Now this stuff's hard enough that you might have to go to some 400 or some 600 to get it ready for the buffing. This stuff's a lot harder, much like you know, the clear coat on a car. Probably even harder than that. So you may have to go to some finer sandpaper to get a good finish you can polish from. Well, we'll find out. We're gonna try. Okay. All right, so that's what we ended up with. Nice, even, flat coat. You can see a few little shiny spots where it, a few little low spots there, but we're not going to worry about that. This is just a test. If you were redoing a boat, you know, a Chris Craft or something like that, you might take the extra time, but I'm not going to. Save us some time. Looking pretty good, I'll have to say. You want to watch the temperature when you're doing this with a buffer as well. If the epoxy is not so bad, but varnish and things like that can get can melt pretty low temperature. All right, let's see what we got. Yeah, it's a pretty small amount of effort, I think. And that's what we got. That looks pretty good to me. Got some sanding scratches in it. Like I said, it's pretty hard stuff, so it's gonna imprint with sanding scratches until you get to the finer grits. A lot of people just tell you sand with a grain, that way you don't see them. Whatever you want to do. There you have it. Very little effort. It's harder to work with the epoxy when you're sanding and things like that, but it does give you a pretty flat finish. It's sandable, a lot more durable than the varnishes out there. Now, however, this stuff does not have UV protectant in it, so if it's going to be outside, you're going to need some sort of varnish on top. it has some sort of UV protection, because epoxy will just vanish from UV light. There you have it, epoxy finish on wood.